Welcome to Creativity, the podcast where art and engineering collide. My name is Jeremy S. Cook, and here with me now is my partner Max Maker.
Hi, everybody.
We discuss all kinds of stuff from art to creativity, obviously, to everything in between. And today it's just going to be me and Max, but we've got lots of interesting things to talk about, right, Max?
Oh yeah, lots of stuff has been happening here. It's close to Christmas, so that means we really have to finish all our year's work right now. For some reason, everybody does it.
Yeah, absolutely.
What have you been up to?
Yeah, so I guess I've been doing a lot of technical writing, of course, and I guess one of the cooler projects I've worked on recently, I did a rotary control, like an auxiliary control surface. Like you got your keyboard, you got your mouse, but if you want to turn the volume on your songs up or down, what do? You got like a shortcut key on your keyboard. To me, that's kind of what's that? Yeah, you need a knob.
You need a knob.
Exactly. So I made a knob. I had I guess it just so happened everything worked out very nicely. That's I've made something similar about a little over a year ago, that used a knob and an encoder and a trinket board from Adafruit, and that worked okay, but it skipped around sometimes, and I only had one button for to play or pause a song. But what happened was I'd seen a couple of people have come out with these I2C encoders that take care of the actually reading the encoder for you. So the module reads the encoder, then it passes all this stuff along to your Arduino board or whatever you're using. So that was really nice to take care of that. And then I also, just so happened, I went to that New York Maker Faire a couple months ago, and this company called Mel Bell, which I don't really know where they got the name, but the guy just gave me one of these tiny little boards that can act as a Arduino Leonardo, which can act as like a keyboard or mouse or whatever. So long story short, I hooked those two things together, add some buttons, and we got something that'll turn the music up and down, play or pause, skip songs. And the other cool thing I added was that if you put it in a separate mode, you can actually use it to control video games too. So
that's cool. So it interfaces with your computer?
Yeah, exactly. It's Arduino Leonardo is the most well-known of these boards that can do this, but it basically plugs in and the computer natively thinks it's a keyboard or a mouse, like an HID device is what they call it.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And
not a PID?
Not a PID. HID, which I guess HID device is a bit redundant because that's human interface device. So HID device would be human interface device. So that does but yeah, it's but yeah, it works really well. I've been really happy with it. I can turn volume up and down, and with what I do, I end up like watching. A lot of the time I'll be, what I do, I'll report on technical stuff. So sometimes it'll mean watching a video. So I'll watch a video and then I'll pause then after I get done, I'll turn on music that I'm listening to kind of drown out some of the background noise that's going on at times. And so I just have like one button I can just hit rather than trying to, contort my, do my finger yoga to try to play or pause using my keyboard shortcuts. So that's, I feel like I've been going on and on about this, but it's a
nice gimmick.
It's a nice little gimmick, exactly. So, been working on that. Now, what about you, Max?
Oh, I've been working on like 3 projects at a similar time. That's a camera slider, which I can't really talk about, for a customer. That found me through YouTube, which is really nice. I would never have thought that that would work one day, but he just said, "Hey, can you make me this thing?" And I'm building it for him. And that's a lot of work, but also a lot of learning. And
it's an interesting thing. It's like we talk about. Well, I don't know if we talk about it that much, but neither you or I make a ton of money directly on YouTube. But I think it's a great way to put yourself out there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just for advertising almost. And plus, I enjoy it, and as I'm sure you do too, of course.
Oh yeah, it's good fun, and from time to time making a video. I think it would be fun if I had to do it every week, but so far it's good,
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I guess that's how we indirectly
how we got together. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So you've got the top secret camera slider project that we just can't talk about.
building a belt grinder right now. That was just like, fun little project, in between projects, like a vacation from vacation or work within work. So
sometimes those are the best. I think one of my best projects recently just kind of, it was something I needed to make. It was like a dust collector for another project and ended up being way more popular than the other project, I think. So, but as far as the belt grinder, can you explain that a little bit for people out there?
Yeah, it's just you have these really long belts. They're 72 inches long, and they're sandpaper belts, and you need to turn them in a loop like a bandsaw to sand stuff away with. And you can't really buy them in Germany. You can buy these tiny ones. I don't think they're really worth it. And I'm building a really big one, like 72 inches, I think it's. 72 inches by 2 inches. So it's a really big belt. And I got this giant motor from the former east of Germany, so the GDP. And it still works perfectly
What does
fine.
GDP stand for? Just so...
German Democratic Republic? GDR.
Oh, okay.
German Democratic Republic, Soviet Germany.
Right.
But it still works absolutely fine because it just has 3 moving parts, which is 2 bearings and the shaft. So they last forever.
Yeah, in concept, it's a very easy concept, but I feel like the actual execution of it might be, the devil's in the details, as they say. Has it been a challenging project?
Yeah. I mean, the motion wasn't too difficult. I needed one really big wheel, so that would be attached to the motor. And that wheel, I just used some plywood, glued it all together to get the right thickness, which is 80 millimeters, I think. And then I chopped off the edges on the bandsaw. And then I thought I could let my CNC turn this round. But then I realized I can't machine 80 millimeters of thickness on my CNC. So what I did was
that
I just drilled a hole.
Like 3.5 inches for those listening in America, right?
It can't reach that deep with the cutter. And I didn't feel like going upstairs to program this thing on the computer and then let the CNC run. So what I thought was just I attached this thing. I drilled a hole to match the shaft with just a Forstner bit. That was really quick. Get it on the motor itself. It's a push fit, so it won't ever come off, I think. And then I thought I'd do this thing where you turn the wheel and then machine it like you would on a wood lathe.
So you turned the thing you were building into the lathe that was building itself. That's
exactly.
Quite clever.
But that didn't work out because I was trying to turn end grain basically because it's plywood, so I couldn't really turn it. That's why a lot of people are using MDF, I think.
Yeah, I'm a big fan myself.
Yeah, but I never had any MDF. And then what I thought what I could do is I just put this thing on my CNC, the motor itself, and then just run across the edge with the CNC router. And that just about worked height-wise.
Huh.
Was a bit scary, but yeah, then I had the wheel and the rest came together really nicely. But then I put an enclosure around it. That took a lot of time.
Sure. So is it working right now? Is it doing the job?
Yeah, it's working. The enclosure is really tight. And it's all made from aluminum and steel. So there's nothing there that can burn.
Oh, that's good.
And I've got a dust port at the back. Yeah, it should work nicely. I'm just waiting for one more steel part for the platen.
Okay.
And then it's ready to go. I painted it today and I'm quite happy. It's a fun project. It's not difficult. It's just, you have to put work into it. But I think anybody could build this at home.
Nice. And you're going to make a video about that, I assume?
Yeah, definitely. But first I'm going to finish the hydrofoil.
Sure. Now, well, before we get into that, because I'm dying to ask you about that, what are you planning to use this belt grinder for?
Oh, it's basically just if I make a cut on any part like steel or aluminium, oftentimes the cut is not perfect and I want to grind it smooth. And that's what I just want to use it for. Just touching up surfaces to make them flat or smooth or round them over, just for general utility. I don't plan on making knives or anything like that.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Usually when you buy an F-150 here, they throw in a free belt grinder. So just,
I know that nobody here in Germany has belt grinders at home, but apparently lots of people have in America.
Yeah, they're pretty common. I don't have one myself, but it's something I've thought that's looks pretty good. So maybe I'll get
And it's
one
not
eventually.
expensive. Yeah, the
Yeah,
motor was $20 on eBay. It's just an old industrial motor, and I had the skateboard wheels left over from a longboard that I wanted to build that I never finished.
nice.
Scrap aluminium, and oh yeah, I had this really bad aluminium. I can't believe it's not butter. It machines so badly.
Nice.
If I drill a hole and I'm almost through of the hole, at the underside of the piece of aluminium, there's like a 3 millimeter high dome. It just
Huh.
pushes the aluminium aside like butter. It doesn't cut.
Well, that doesn't sound very good. Is it sick? I mean, is it, how can I put this? 6061 is the most common aluminum. They got like 7072. Is this just, or is this just aluminum? They just sold it to you. This is aluminum.
They just sold it as aluminum.
Hmm. Well, that's fine, I guess.
Yeah, but I got rid of it now, and I'm glad. Yeah, now
Right.
I pay attention to what aluminium I buy. This is the first time I had so shitty stuff.
Yeah. Where do you get your aluminum or aluminium
eBay,
as
always eBay.
eBay? Okay. Hmm.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't
all
have
right.
any local suppliers that would sell me anything, I think.
Yeah, I feel like there's some in my area. Like, I feel like I could maybe find somebody that would sell me stuff like that, but I wouldn't really. I'd have to ask around, I guess. I'm sure
Yeah.
certainly there's someone with, you'd
Oh, there
think.
must be someone, but if I have to drive for 1 hour, that's not worth it. I can just order it
Yeah.
online.
My limited
It's
experience with that kind of thing is that these places generally exist, but they're not set up as like, they don't have a big sign in the front that says, Al's Aluminum Emporium.
yeah,
It's kind of like in the back somewhere, and it's kind of dirty, and you go in, and Al, and you just say, what do you, I need some 3/4 or whatever, blah 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 blah, and they take care of it. But that's me having been in the car when somebody else bought something, and I don't know, I guess if I didn't know any better, I'd almost think it was kind of like some sort of shady deal. So maybe that's like some sort of underground aluminum
gotta know your
dealership.
sources.
Yeah.
But I feel bad when I go into these big companies that sell wood, for example. They just sell huge quantities to local, professional carpenters that deal with wood. And if I just come in there and I just buy one board, it's just a waste of their time. They don't make any money on me. They don't want to sell anything to me.
Yeah. actually, actually, it's funny you mentioned that. Besides, I guess my projects that kind of are most on my mind, I actually made a new bed for my wife and I because,
Oh,
long story short, basically, as I
you
found
broke the
out,
old one.
yes, pretty much, because we got this.
Lots of wear and tear on that.
Well, no comment on that, but the we got a one of these foam mattresses. Yeah, are you familiar with those?
Mm-hmm.
You get the spring mattresses that are a lot lighter. We got a foam mattress. Well, as I come to find out, the box springs just are not built to handle that. So I just kind of designed it. Didn't really draw it up, but just kind of designed it in my mind. Drew a couple notes and went to the hardware store to get the wood. And the guy's like, "This is a lot of wood to cut." I'm like, "What are you guys here? What are you guys here for?" He's like, "I'll do it, but this is a lot. Usually we just cut it so people can fit it in their cars." Like, well, what do you want me to do? I can't. It's gonna be a real pain to put all this in my minivan because that's.
Oh, that's true. You don't have an F-150 either, do you?
No, I don't actually. I guess I'm more harkening back to my German roots with a minivan instead of an F-150. um, yeah, but I guess
Have you made a video about that?
What's that?
Have you made a video about the bed?
No, I was debating this. Maybe I could ask your opinion on this because I really just wanted to get it done because I was just sick of the bed being broken. And so I didn't
So you
film
did break it.
Yeah, I did break it. Yes. um, yeah. But anyway, I just wanted a solid bed, and so I just wanted it done and didn't film it. So I've debated like going back and just doing a video of like kind of like showing it off and kind of showing what I did.
Hmm.
What do you think about that? Is that too is that something you
I
would think is a good idea, or is that something that's just don't bother? You know what I mean?
I guess you can make a video about what you learned about it and the difficulties you had, like just a show and tell, maybe. I don't have a bed either at the moment. I'm sleeping on the floor, like the mattress is just on the floor.
Yeah,
I want to build one too because I want a nice one, but I'm not sure if I'm going to film it. Also,
yeah,
you and me, we don't have Casper we don't have beep 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 as a sponsor.
yeah. Well, no, it's actually that's interesting. Interesting that you mentioned that. That it is a Casper bed, and um,
Oh, but you have
for
to
a
pay for it.
I did pay for it, and
Well, yeah.
I thought there was something wrong with the bed, and then I called the people to return it because I got that 100 night policy. Not that I'm trying to plug them at all. And the guy was like, "Yeah, we can process it." Or if you've got it on a box spring, they're really not built to handle that. You should probably check it out. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna check that out. So I lifted the bed off, and as it comes out, as I looked at it, it wasn't the mattress so much as the box spring was partially collapsed. I'm a pretty big guy, so I was like, well, that's probably the problem. And now that I have a bed that's, I mean, I made this. I so overbuilt it. I made it with 2x6s on the lengths of it, which is, what does that work out to be? I don't know what that is in centimeters, but you can.
Oh, it's big.
It's pretty big, and then I used 2x3s on the to support it on the middle, but I actually stood these up on the long side, so they're not. You know what I'm saying? Like the 3 dimension is bent up, like poking into the bed,
Hmm.
and I spaced them 5.5 inches from each other. So there's like 10 of these, like what would you call it? 10 of these boards that are meant to be in
You
somebody's
build a
wall.
wooden house that's the size of a bed.
Yeah, exactly. Except instead of using, I think it's 18 inch, or I don't know if it's 24-inch centers, 18-inch centers on a wall, or anyway, it's 5.5. It's more like 6 inches per between each beam, so it's extremely strong. It's just I laid on it the first time. I'm like, wow, this is like I'm lying on the floor, except with a mattress above me. So it was that's exactly what I wanted, and I put a piece of plywood down on top of the beam so that it would support the inside too.
And
So
what
if
did you
you
put on the outside?
on the outside, it was just 2x6s. Stained it with some dark stain. Looks pretty good. The one mistake I did make, though, I was thinking I'd make it a little bit lower than my old bed, and I did, but I didn't really necessarily consult my wife about it, and so it's probably a little bit lower than I should have made it. So but it's I guess that's one big lesson about building something like that, is to always consult all the parties involved and make sure everything
Oh yeah.
everybody's make sure you have buy-in. So it was just, I was like, yeah, I think it'll be like 2 or 3 inches lower, and then it's more like 6 inches lower. And
That's
anyway,
a
it
lot.
doesn't sound like a lot, maybe, but it definitely, I got it in there like, this is a little lower than I thought it would would be.
You can
So
always put something underneath to make it higher.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. We talked about it. She's like, well, we'll give, we're like, well, we'll give it a week or two, and depending on what we think about it, I'll just put some spacers underneath. So it'll be fixed one way or another.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I just I noticed when I built the belt grinder, I thought this would be a fun project to just freehand, take this piece, then put this piece on, and the next piece, drill some holes here and there. But now I think, and that's what always happens when after I finish the project that I do freehand, I should have done a computer model first to see the dimensions, to not make any mistakes, to make
Yeah.
everything look a little bit better.
Well, I was extremely happy with the dimensions, except for I should have made the legs longer. I was happy. I was I don't want to say surprised, but yeah, I'll also say pleasantly surprised that everything just fit together perfectly without a model. But those those legs just, I should have added another 3 inches or so on them. So, it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, it's easy to put something underneath.
Yeah. So all that being said, what do you think? Is it worth? Because I think
Make a video. I think make a video.
Okay.
Just make a quick video, like what you learned, what went wrong, what you would do differently. I think that's interesting to see.
Okay. And I think for even if it's a little lower, the way I built it, it is. I'm convinced it's one of the most solid bed designs that I could come up with. So unless I just made everything like made pure 2x4, like a bed full of 2x4s on the bottom, that'd be ridiculous. So
I saw they're selling pallet beds now, and they're not cheap.
like, how much is a pallet bed?
Well, it looks like a pallet, and it was, I think, 300 euros.
I guess that's not
And
that
it-
expensive, but I mean, I feel like
It's
if
a
you're
pallet.
if you're gonna live like a homeless person, at least your bed should be free. I think.
Yeah. I wonder if it comes on a pallet or if you have to assemble the pallet yourself.
So do you have to put newspaper on top to to sleep on?
Cardboard.
Cardboard.
Well, I'm sleeping on the floor, and at first it was difficult getting up, but now I kind of got the hang of it. Like, I think it's a little bit of training to, for your legs and your muscles.
So when you say sleeping on the floor, you've got a mattress, and then you have a box spring or no box spring?
No box spring, just a mattress.
Just a mattress. Well, I'm sure.
But it's okay.
I'm sure people. Well, that's why you should make sure to give to us on Patreon if you want to support the show and possibly help Max to not have to spend all his money on hosting, and maybe he can buy himself a new bed at some point.
One day I'm going to build a bed, but first, next summer we want to build a sauna in the garden.
Really? Well, see, that doesn't really. I feel like that doesn't really bring up the whole pity aspect now.
No.
Yeah, donate to us on Patreon so Max can have a actual bed. And buy a sauna
Patreon
too. So,
is to pay for hosting this podcast.
Right.
That costs money. Sauna is just for fun.
Right. So thank you. I'll just put it out there. Thank you, Stephen Booker, as always.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
2 months in a row. That's some great support from you.
Yeah, you're the man. So we'll just put that out there before we forget about him, because
Steve is the only man so far.
Yeah. But we will call the rest of you out too, and if and when you decide to support the show, which we all you really have to do is listen, and that's fine. But
but any support helps, and
but one thing I wanted to ask you, I guess dancing around it, is what's the deal with your hydrofoil?
Oh, with the hydrofoil. Well, it's such a complicated project. I can't really work on 2 complicated projects at the same time. And since I've got this one project that pays basically for the hydrofoil, I can't can't work on the hydrofoil so far. But I got a big rain barrel, and that is filling up right now. So unless it's full, I can't even continue with the rain barrel anymore to test the motor. But I guess
don't you have a hose?
Well, that costs money.
Sure. And I imagine
it was a real adventure getting this rain barrel.
Really? I can't tell if you're joking.
I got it with my bike. No, I got it with my bike. It's a 500-liter rain barrel, I think. Yeah, 500 liters. So half a ton. I don't know how much that is in ounces, but it's a lot.
That's a lot.
I didn't have the trailer available at the time, so I got it with my bike, and I drove to the hardware store with my bicycle, and I had this hand truck that I tied to the back of the bike, and then I tied the rain barrel onto that hand truck, and I just pulled it behind me.
Really?
It was really top heavy. Fell over 4 times.
So that's interesting.
But I got it home.
In Germany, you can't have a motorized scooter, but you can tow rain barrels around on the back of your bike, and that's
no problem.
okay.
No problem.
Well, good. It's and how long ago was this? Was this recently?
4 weeks. We had a real drought this year. The whole year in Germany didn't rain a lot,
Huh.
but now it's almost full. I guess just 1/3 left to
Okay.
fill, and then I
And
can start
so right now it's it's
testing.
December. Obviously, is it not like snowing there? Is it? It's pretty cold, right? I
It's cold.
assume.
Yeah, it's close to freezing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually actually turned the heat on the other day here, so in Florida.
Oh
So
wow,
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Have you been in the pool today?
No, I haven't been to the pool. We passed by it. I was like, I guess we could probably. No, I mean we don't. We don't go swimming here past past early November. It's just gets too cold here.
So how do you maintain the pool in the winter?
Oh well, the cool thing is where I live, I don't have my own pool. The neighborhood has
Ah,
a
okay.
pool, and I have no
Ah,
idea what they
okay.
do. I think they just hire some guy to come in and clean it out or whatever they do. I mean, well, I guess your parents have a pool, right? But I think it's got some sort of like covering on it, right? It looks
Yeah,
like.
in the winter they let half of the water out. I don't know why, really. I really don't know why. I guess it's to drain some of the pipes, so there's no water in these pipes at the top. And then they put a cover over it to catch all the leaves. And then in spring, it's all a big mess with green water and leaves and all of that. And then we clean it and put fresh water in
Okay. Hmm.
and a few bags of salt. Like I guess 150 kilograms of salt in total, like just table salt.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's because I know that's like the popular thing is to have it's a saltwater pool then, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's not as salty as the Mediterranean Sea, but it's quite salty.
Sure. Yeah, it's because most pools here have chlorine in them, but the really really nice pools have. I mean, I don't know about nice pools, but just I think that's been kind of a trend to have saltwater pools. So I guess you
Yeah, I
guys are
guess
on
it's a
the
bit healthier, but we still have chloride in it, a little bit,
okay.
but not
Hmm.
as much. You can't really smell it unless you take a taste.
Okay. Well, you wouldn't be the first person to drink pool water. I'm sure my kids drink plenty.
The goal is to not have them drink too much.
Right. Well, it's funny. We go we used to live near a lake and we go swimming with our dog sometimes. Evie, our dog, and you see her, she'd be paddling, doggy paddling, and then you'd see her mouth just going out, in and out. Just you could just tell she was just drinking the water as she was swimming. It's like, man, I don't know how your bladder's not going to burst doing this kind of behavior. You don't just because you're in the water doesn't mean you have to drink the water. So that's the creativity podcast health tip for the day. So
Yeah, that's we're really on topic with this podcast.
right, but right. Speaking of topics, now let's get back to the hydrofoil. You haven't tested it because your rain barrel isn't quite full, and
Exactly.
you just haven't you've had other stuff to work on, I guess.
Yeah, but I hope I can start on this in January,
Yeah, I
hopefully.
understand. So would
Yeah.
I guess what is January? Like late January is probably like when it gets really cold there. I assume.
Yeah, yeah. It always depends. Like if we get a cold front from Russia, it can get really, really, really cold. But that only happens every few years.
Okay.
And mostly it's just around freezing or slightly below freezing.
Okay. And you're in the north of Germany, so it's not mountainous there. So is it actually
No,
colder
no,
in the
it's
south
really
of Germany?
flat.
Is that
I think so. They definitely have lots more snow.
hmm. Okay.
They
Well,
also have nice food down there and
oh,
cheaper food, but then the rent is more expensive down there. So it's all a balance.
that's so how do they pay for the rent then if they're, if you own a restaurant and
Oh,
you can't sell
if
your
you're
food for as much.
yeah, we don't know how they do it because my family they used to work in restaurants and they don't know how they do it in the south.
Hmm. What's interesting, I guess in the south of the United States, food's cheaper and rent's cheaper, so it all kind of evens out for us.
Yeah, but you're not in the south, right? In Florida, that's not the south.
Well, that's interesting that you interesting that you get that, because many people would claim that to be the truth. So I mean,
Is it really? I thought Florida's Florida, and then the real South is New Mexico, Albuquerque.
no, that's pretty much true. Like if you say, how can I put this? If you go to somewhere like Alabama and say you're from the South, but you're from Florida, they'll really question you about that. They'll
Hmm.
think, because people will think, and in reality, many people from Canada and New York or whatever else will come down here to retire, and so a lot of the time, people from who say they're from Florida are actually from somewhere else. So it is kind of like Florida. Florida is its own thing. It's not really the South, not really the North, as far as culturally, you might say.
You're like an
Um,
airport. It's very international.
like no, actually, exactly. People just come down here, and after they've been here a few generations, they turn into Florida men and women, and it's a whole different thing.
And they get arrested.
And they get arrested for wrestling alligators and such like that.
I remember when I was watching, I think it was The Daily Show. This guy, he was living in Florida in a really packed neighborhood with lots of these canals in between properties. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And he was doing shooting practice in his backyard. And it was a really highly populated area. So everybody was afraid that they would get shot by accident. And he was like, oh, it's okay. My mom sits at the canal and looks if there's any boat coming by, and if there's no boat coming by, I can shoot.
Wow, that's
And
really.
everybody was really fed up about him, but the council said like, yeah, it's not illegal. He can do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be very happy about that personally. Yeah, no, it's interesting. I I I was listening to some kind of financial podcast. Apparently OJ Simpson came here after his whole ordeal. I don't know if he
Hmm.
still lives here. I think he's in.
A quick question: do you think he's guilty or not?
I feel like that's a bit of a loaded question. I'll just answer. He was found not guilty in criminal court, and then he was found guilty in civil court. So what does that tell you? I think it says that. I think it says that legally speaking, you'd have to say he probably did it, but maybe there wasn't enough evidence to say he did it for sure. If that makes any any sense.
Okay, okay.
So, but yeah, that was what the guy in this podcast was talking about. Just that because he was found guilty of that, apparently Florida is such a haven for asset protection since he had a big house in here. He was pretty much good to go after that, which is actually sounds pretty terrible. That I I yeah, it's a unfortunate situation, all of it. So
He's rich. Different rules apply.
different rules apply, right? Although, and then he went to jail for something else later. I think like stealing
Yeah, robbery,
sports.
right?
Yeah, I think you like try to steal like some sort of Letterman. Like there's like some sort of sports memorabilia that he sold or something like that. Tried.
Sure. Wasn't it a bank robbery or something like that? I'm
Oh,
not
I
sure. I
don't
could be
know.
totally wrong.
I don't know about that. It was yeah, that was a weird, because I remember watching that, the Bronco chase. I was
Really? Oh.
yeah, I'm just old enough to remember that. I was like, wow, this is weird. And then then like that summer, like I just remember being out of school, and like I didn't really watch that much of it, but some of my friends would just like watch like the whole trial, like it was like a whole thing. And yeah, so yeah, I guess we're really on topic this week.
Yeah, this is where art and engineering collide. We talked a
Right.
little bit about engineering and now a little bit about O.J. Simpson. So I think that it's good enough. But we had great guests in the last few episodes, and we might have a great guest for late September. Late
That's
September,
late
late
September.
December.
I don't
But then this is already late December. But I guess
might
our
have
next guest will be quite good.
We might have a good one in January. So,
Yeah.
so, yeah. No, I think it was a good podcast. So if that's, if you've said enough, so.
Unless you've got any more topics to talk about.
No, not really. But yeah, I
Merry
think,
Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Max. Hope you have a great holiday with your family. And
you too. It was good talking to you.
Yeah. So all the best to everyone over there.
Have a nice Christmas, nice holiday, spend some time with your family, and, make some awesome plans for 2019.
Yeah, likewise. And the same thing to everybody listening. If you've got anything you want to hear or want to comment to us about, you can email me at info@jeremyscook.com or hit me up on Twitter at jeremyscook, or YouTube is my channel is Jeremy S. Cook. And what about you, Max? Where can they find you?
Max Maker on YouTube and Max Maker YouTube at Instagram. I think those two are the best places to see what I'm doing, what I'm working on. And if you want to write me an email, nobody wants to write me an email, but it's max.maker free@gmail.com.
Nice. Oh, and if info@jeremyscook is too long for you, you can also email hi@jeremyscook.com.
That's really good.
If that feels more friendly. So
how about complaint@jeremyscook.com?
I haven't registered that one yet, but maybe soon. And I guess we should officially say thanks to Stephen Booker for being our Patreon.
Thank you very
number
much.
one Patreon for this month or this.
Stephen, if you're hearing this, let us know what you're working on. That would be interesting, and we can discuss it next week in the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but thanks everyone for listening, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
Bye-bye.